is more fear driven. But I think
Mm-hmm.
if we as a community of artists think about the possibilities of a superior form of intelligence that probably doesn't have the same biases, or eventually will not have the same biases or
Mm-hmm.
biases at all,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very powerful thing to be witnessing, because we might be able to understand then the fear of whatever happens is already happening.
Yeah, it's
So
true. It's true. It's true. And my new friend here in Metaslavia said, as I was like crying yesterday to him in a voice note, he said, and I was crying because like why can't the humanity be balanced, like this thing, and he's like, hey, let's learn to look or see humanity is perfectly balanced as it is now. Okay, like
yes.
just as it is. Let's just take it as it is and not try to change it, because I think in the past, 3.5 years, I've been trying real hard to change myself, to change others, to change everything around me. And I'm like, wait, how come I wasn't trying to change myself like all these years before? I was just growing, like organically,
Yeah.
and like, of course, I was working on myself, but I wasn't like trying to change. And I'm just starting to finally realize that it was my Saturn return, and I tried to, just be
Oh,
better,
wow.
be bigger, be more grown up. But in the end of the day, I started to be less grown up in a way, because I'm just feeling more lost, and like I feel like I need guidance again. And I wish, yeah, I'm asking for universe for guidance, and the universe does bring me amazing people who
That is
do
true.
share so much wisdom. Yeah, I just needed to like be open to ask these difficult questions.
Yes. Tell me, how can I support you?
Well, actually, how can I support Portugal? Back at you. Look, I just don't want like to add up. I just don't want to add up to this incredible amount of immigrations happening there. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to add up to disrespect for culture and disrespect
Mm-hmm.
for the locals. I don't want to add up to taking away everything that the locals have built. And I want to support local businesses actually. Yeah, like this is the one big thing. Yesterday I started writing a business plan finally, but it was
Mm-hmm.
um, okay. Let me read it just a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not a business plan. It's just first few ideas, but I wonder how you feel about it, and maybe it's just too ambitious. So it's like a marketplace
Do
idea.
you mind if I take notes?
Yeah, of course.
Uh,
Yeah, thank you.
so
So it's a marketplace idea. So problems, like starting
okay.
with problems, humans consume too much and leave lots of trash due to lack of respect to material world, which I think is like true. Like we take material world
Yes.
as we take like digital world as like everything is just like endless information, endless, and it's not true. Resources are not endless. I mean, they are abundant, but it's like we take a lot more than we need. I see. And then
Yeah.
and I say then producers of fashion, home goods, home cleaning chemicals, body care items, makeup and supplements overproduce at low quality and meet consumer demands. Like it's just, when the consumer wants to buy a lot, then it means that they're going to be producing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how it works. And then the last point is that retailers push vendors to keep low prices to meet high markups. I mean, it's like from the fashion world, it's how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Big retailers, specifically like department stores, ask brands to keep the prices low, so the brands have to find a production that is lower cost, and the fabrics that are lower cost and everything. So it's just like dependencies, from the
Mm-hmm.
retailers high markup. 2.5 is the average markup. Another brand basically, but the brand is like a white label. So the idea is to bring together a variety of different producers directly without having a brand name and without needing to pay for the brand
That's
name.
awesome.
But produce like
Yeah.
but what I by producers I mean at like factories, like local
Yeah.
factories. And
Yeah.
the idea is that my next trip in Portugal, I'll be going to local factories and looking at their needs and process and everything, and recording this and having like whole content around it as well. So another solution is providing online and offline shopping experience at strategic locations. Like if it's offline, then it has to be in locations that are really similarly positioned to all these like Indian grocery shops.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super ambitious. I mean, I'm not saying that this is like what I really want to do. I just really want someone to replace the merchandise in all these Indian and Chinese grocery shops with something that is much more ethical. That's my vision. Imagine, like all these shops will become completely pure. Wouldn't it be nice? And if the
It is
prices,
nice.
if the prices were to be matched, of course, the existing. I'm saying like I don't know. I mean, it's idealistic. And then another solution is subscription to private club kind of model, but because like okay, it's you if you do like a monthly subscription basically, then
Mm-hmm.
this subscription can go to support people who are in need, for example. I mean, it's very idealistic, and it might not work at all as business. So I'm just figuring it out, just putting some ideas. And then the
Mm-hmm.
last point is that donations and social good hand. Again, that's like comes from the subscription basics. So, for example, all these internationals that come in, they would have a subscription because in New York, for example, we are very used to subscriptions for everything. Basically, everything
Mm-hmm.
is like subscribed for this, subscribed for a service of this, like subscribed for
Yeah.
plant medicine, like
Yeah.
supplies, and that's like a super normal for people who are moving here. And then for the locals, it will be basically a give back program, one of like some kind. And then the purpose is to connect providers, product providers, and consumers directly in a way that is like brand doesn't need to stand at the at the intersection. Like okay, like of course there's a lot of these big brands and they have to do all these advertisement, and I think it's just over. I don't think it's like valid anymore. Here in Metaslavia, specifically where I live right now,
Mm-hmm.
we have this new concept of a retail that I'm really inspired by. It's called Vkusville. It's like Vkus is taste, so taste will. Maybe I should just do taste will. Maybe I should just like open like a yeah, maybe that would be kind of that. Anyway, but like it's a food providers of a direct to consumer, because why I'm saying direct to consumer is because they don't feature any brands. They just have their private label. Like similarly to all the which can you tell me which are the biggest food supermarkets right now? Lidl? What
Yeah. Pingo
others?
Doce, Continente.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pingo Doce, Continente. Okay, so these three, they all of them have some private label pieces, right? Like
Yeah.
their own, groceries. The
Mm-hmm.
idea is to have another retail location that is much smaller, that is literally like very small as all of these independent Indian slash Pakistani shops, and and maybe also collaborate and co-create with these Indian, Pakistani, and Chinese shops to provide better product. But again, what really triggers me when I go to all these European countries is that still, like, okay, European level of life, everything is so much higher than here. What I'm experiencing at the same time, we have more clean products available somehow, and it's not so high as in uh, all these like eco markets in Lisbon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how. I think it's just because I think it's just because the higher, I guess, because of the branding costs, and of course because of
Mm-hmm.
the smaller batches of production of all this organic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't believe in the future of, keep using a toothpaste that is with the fluoride. I don't believe in the future of using very, very bad chemicals for your house. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just some basic things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, like, I don't have a solution, but I think this would be so wonderful if, for example, in the beginning, Lisbon could be a model city for how um, grocery shopping and chemicals for home and maybe beauty stuff can be provided by default organic. I think already Portugal has been very, very big on ethical and more organic production of fashion. Um, and I wonder what can be done for, food supplies and everything.
Okay.
I mean, it's very idealistic, and I don't think I can handle it. I'm not the kind of person who would be running a business. I'm a more of an advisor, like consultant. I'm much, much better in these things. That's how I made money before. And like when I actually, like quit the Matrix, quit my day-to-day job in the office. I was just a consultant, and I tried running different like startups and including technology startups, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just it's just the way that I'm designed. I'm getting bored quite fast, and I need something new, like a new artistic project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you understand. It's
Yeah, I
basically
do.
artist's mindset. Um, but yeah, that's it. I shared a lot. I don't know if you have anything to say or.
I don't know. Okay, I do. I have lots of things to say and lots of questions. I just don't know if you have time now. 'Cause I know
Yeah,
you're
no,
ready.
like I'm good because this guy is not even yeah, he was supposed to come like about an hour and a half ago, but never and he said he's gonna message me when he leaves home, so it's okay. Like I will know like I know we'll have like at least half an hour more when he messages me.
Okay. Okay. So, um, on, not that you asked, but I think it's doable actually.
Really?
It's super feasible. Yeah.
Wow.
Not yeah. I don't think I know this can be done.
Well, it means a
You
lot to hear.
and your approach just needs to. I think what I'm hearing, there's a lot of tiers to this.
Yes.
So and a lot of branches. So I think if you start with your expertise, which is fashion, then you can bring all the other things
True.
together
True.
as well. So you use your core expertise, and then everything else will gravitate towards it anyways. This is why I think it. I actually think it won't be that hard. I think if you put your mind to it, in 18 months you'll have like the right people to continue the business, so that you can act as a consultant and
Mm-hmm.
just have it grow as much as you want, or whatever growth means to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think you're wise to want to connect with factories. I can actually put you in touch with like collectives and cooperatives where they do like where designers of ethical brands come together
Yeah.
and order fabric, because you know how pricing is in factories. Like usually designers struggle having production because they work in small batches
Mm-hmm.
and factories need a bulk
Mm-hmm.
order. So there are a few collectives here in Porto where designers come together, they agree on what type of fabric they're gonna design with, and then they order up in
So
bulk, but then it's divided
they kind of collectively come together to
together.
agree on like the fabrics, and
Yeah,
then they bulk order it, and then they separate it into their
yeah,
own production.
yes,
Amazing. Very cool. I mean, this is the ultimate, solution. Uh-huh, I see.
yes. And I love the idea of a white label for fashion to accommodate more and more producers. I think that's just
Mm-hmm.
so necessary. I think that's a genius idea. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, and like it's not like it's a new thing, and specifically in the US, it's been very normal. But still, in the US, everything is like about speed, efficiency,
Hmm.
commercial value, like markup prices. I really want Portugal to be still continue to be the leader in sustainability, and a real one,
Hmm.
not like a greenwashing.
Yeah.
And I do believe that white label is one of those solutions. I believe in another thing is that in some cases upcycling is a big thing, like
Yeah.
actually tapping into all the existing fabrics, existing uh, pieces of fashion. I remember
Yeah.
in Lisbon I connected with this shop owner in the very city center. He's owned the shop for like 20 years.
Wow.
This touristy location, and Chiado, and it's it's this Gardenia, it's called, and he has two stores. One is outlet, right? Another one
Oh,
is
I
like a
know
regular.
Gardenia. Yeah.
Okay, cool, yeah. So this guy, we really connected because like there were no people at all in 2021 there in the
Yeah.
beginning, and I was just coming there and just having some, sit down time with the owner, and so it was amazing. And just like you can't, it's like impossible to experience it ever again. But he told me that yes, he does have a lot of stock, and his solution to sell the stock is to sell through Amazon. you know,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and I'm like, well, maybe we can do something else. Like, for example, again, like provide these unsold garments to in bulk to colleges, so
Yeah.
the colleges can yeah, like provide raw materials basically to students to work with, because I do believe that we'll have to
Yeah.
come up with a new aesthetic for fashion where we upcycle stuff.
Yeah, that already happens, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
Ghana. The Your Foundation has a similar program to that, where because they have all this waste problem, landfills of clothes,
Right.
so they they go to the landfills and take those clothes and bring it to design students, fashion design students, for them to, kind of bring about ideas how to solve these problems as well. Um,
What is the name of the foundation again?
uh, or Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Is it specifically a Portuguese foundation?
No, 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 no.
Ah.
It's the one of the co-founders is from the U.S. And I think the other is Ghanaian. I guess
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I only know Liz. Like Liz is the main person.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I've never
Uh,
seen this before. This is so nice. I'm so excited to find out something new in the fashion world specifically. It's just like, okay, this is new for me. Ah, thank you, thank you. That's really
yes.
nice. It looks
And
it
also,
looks
I
like
think
it's
I
much
can
needed.
connect you to a textile designer. Her name is Annabelle Poe. She's based in the Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
and um, she investigates new technology to create or upcycle material, already existing materials, but bridging um, um, cultural dualities. She's Singaporean,
Mm-hmm.
um, living in the Netherlands, so she sort of tries to make textiles to bridge the gap
Is she the one
of
that
culture.
collaborated with you on the project that you
Oh
done?
yes, yes,
Okay,
she
that's
worked
it.
with me.
Because
Yes,
I could
yes,
just
yes,
remember visually and energetically the person
yes,
that you said. Okay,
yes.
cool.
She's the one.
Amazing.
And she,
Oh, the event that we met and it was so good. It's just like,
yes.
oh wow. It's just like you can't make it up, Eunice. I was like, wow, you're so top of the top for me in terms of like fashion artist. And then the whole like meeting and the time at the grass and the heel is just
It was
everything,
so
and the dinner.
special.
Yeah, it's so cool. Okay, so thank you so much for that experience. It's just
Thank you.
you
I
can't make
mean,
it up. And then at some point in Portugal, it will happen, our epic meeting.
yeah, yes. And I think you do, like, if you pin down,
Yes,
like,
it
in your
is.
business model, the
Yes.
problems, each problem and each solution, possible solution, I see this happening, like the subscription for expats, so that local producers in Portugal have also a steady source of income.
Yeah.
Because that's the great thing
It
about
makes a lot of
subscription.
sense, right? Like because there are
Yes.
so many people who just arriving and they don't have, again, I'm talking about New Yorkers like myself, like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have these subscription solutions, like all these like startup blah blah blah, happening like
Yeah.
to just like serve everything for them. And I'm not saying like serving everything, but at least um, delivering or maybe like providing cool locations to go to pick up some of the most cleanest groceries, um, and yeah, just it feels very needed. I mean, look, by the way, I know Liz. I remember her now from yeah, I remember her from online meetings in 2020, 2021. But another thing you said is starting with fashion. Then how would you like? What would? Yeah, I don't even know where to go because I just like feel like I'm so not done with fashion, but I'm so overwhelmed because I've been in this world for so long. I guess it's just I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's like when you just don't know where to start. Like that's the point.
Okay, you need to come to Porto before you land. Don't next
Yeah.
time you book a ticket, don't plan it to arrive in Porto. That's the first one.
Okay.
I know Lisbon is awesome. It has a beautiful life, but honestly, you have to come to Porto.
Yeah, yeah,
And I know, Natalia. As soon as you land, you'll get it.
yeah. Okay.
You'll understand everything, and I
Okay.
will make sure to
Okay.
have time. I'll take you around in the city for you to
Wow.
see
Thank
what
you.
kind of co-creation is already happening
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So you can also, get a sense of what may or may not serve you. And then we can go to like factories and stuff like that around as
Mhm.
well, so you can
Mhm.
get a feel of how, people work and how, you know, they live in certain industrialized areas, especially here in the north, because textile is what is probably half of its wealth. And so you get a feel of what you can do and the potential of you being here and
Totally. Yeah.
facilitating.
I feel a little like sad that I wasn't able to spend my time while I was in Lisbon or generally in Portugal to really study the fashion side because
Mm-hmm.
it was always for me, as you know, like I just came to my place and I just felt like, wow, thank you God, I have a place in somewhere in Europe. So I was just resting. I was just like I
Yeah,
needed time. Thank you God, I have this
true.
time in this place. Because before I was just traveling or doing something for this Web3 world.
Yeah.
And now with the Web3 stuff, it's really complicated. I think I went through like a master's program or something
Oh wow.
because it's just so much to learn.
Yes.
And it's not like it's super easy stuff. It's like it's extremely complex systems. And now I understand that, okay, we have to use the fact that in Portugal, you don't need to pay taxes for your income in crypto. So, my biggest goal and my biggest vision is to support the ecosystem in onboarding for this alternative, currency potentially. So, it's just so that when and if, but I think it's about when, euro or generally European
Yeah.
economic situation will get worse, we'll have first of all, a network of producers and a network of designers and yeah, hopefully the retailer connections to be able to
Mm-hmm.
support people who live on the ground uh, by maybe transitioning to exchange in another currency. And that's
That's
like
awesome. Yeah.
extremely,
Continue.
extremely ambitious. I mean, look, there's another business model I've put together specifically about um, the how do I put it? Like trade show, basically trade show, a series of trade shows
Mm-hmm.
slash pop-ups, where we would during the trade show we would train vendors and retailers to transact in crypto. But I did more research and spoke with like payment processing solutions
Mm-hmm.
in crypto, and they said like, "Ooh, it's very hard because it's legislation in different countries is very different, so you can't really think about like global trade when you think about crypto. It has to be local trade. It's
Mm-hmm.
because the
Yeah.
legislation." And I guess again, like Portugal will be like best place to test drive the solution for the local implementation of the new currency.
Yes.
And it's time. I mean, I don't know any other person better than me who would be able to combine these two worlds. It's just, I feel
Me
it's
neither.
ambitious, it's super ambitious. So I feel
It
like
is.
humbled.
Yes, it is ambitious, but it's also time for that ambition. You
Yeah,
know.
for sure. I understand. Do you think like okay, but again, like it's just there's so many things that are in my head, and it's very hard for me to put it in a business plan. But if you did simplify what I was just trying to say before, what would be like the gist of it? How did you understand it?
I understood that you want to co-create in Portugal as the base, a network of creators, producers, communicators, makers,
Mm-hmm.
by having a label, a non-denominated label, in which all the products that are under this non-denominated label are organic, and the system in which they're created is circular, meaning that they serve the consumer, but they also serve the maker, closing the gap of making and selling. So ultimately, what I'm hearing is that the person who makes will also consume the product because the circularity will be such, um, that even the consumer can create his or her own product. This is
Yeah,
what
so
I'm
cool. This
listening.
is if you just like opened up this other part of this whole thing is this
Yes,
allowing people
because
to customize and be creative. Yeah,
yes,
like
because I think the iterations will be so deep that these roles will be very uh,
blended.
blended. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So the maker is the consumer, and the consumer is the maker. Um, in
genius.
more tangible terms for your business plan, what I see is a platform for fashion makers and fashion producers to come together in a form of synergy to create products that are inherently respectful of people and the planet, um, for the consumer who wants to make those choices without having to navigate so much the bureaucracy and
Greenwashing.
um, yeah, the greenwashing of such systems.
Mm-hmm.
And this would work as a subscription base. The added value is that it will help people who are moving from one country to Portugal
Mm-hmm.
to have access to ecological and socially fair products for initially fashion, but then homeware, home
Mm-hmm.
products, just generally lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
Am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Yes?
Wow, you're
Yeah.
so excellent. Can you be my spokesperson? But put it in Portuguese. Ay, so good, so good. Yes. Well, hey, of course, my goal is to, bring the locals to lead these initiatives as well. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm only here as a I guess like someone who needs a visa, basically.
Yes.
And I'm here to also like focus myself, because like the past 3.5 years were so bad for my mental health because I didn't have like only one project that is super owning me, you know, like owning my time, owning, like I'm owning it and it's owning me as well.
Yes.
But at the same time, look, this is the goal, is to bring more jobs that are exciting, that are really
Yeah.
freeing, to the local communities. So I'm definitely,
Yes. Money, super important thing then in your business plan is to put in writing how you plan for the business to self-sustain since it's community led by Portuguese. So this is important.
That's
So
true.
initially you will facilitate the project, right? You're the facilitator, or actually you're the initiator, and then you'll act as a facilitator. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
So try to think how this business would sustain itself with all the makers and the consumers and everything, how it will become its own being, an ecosystem.
Yeah, and it's about giving ownership to those
Yeah.
that would like to express leadership. I think one of the biggest things that I've been noticing in the fashion world is that still a lot of ego is in play, and a lot of people really want to own the brand, or own, or be the starter or the igniter of the idea. But then in the end of the day, you know, we have organizations like, okay, the Fashion Revolution, the Global Fashion Agenda, the one that you showed me just now, and maybe, you know, like as one of this, like like you can tell that it's going to be successful with time and good name. But honestly, there is just not that many initiatives that have survived. I don't know why. I just feel like it didn't, potentially could, they didn't get the, I guess, network effect of their influence, and they weren't able to onboard enough people to really make it a movement, as opposed to um yeah, like a one-time solution of an existing problem as a sample. But it just, I don't know, people, I think, lose motivation quite fast. Doing business or leading a business is not easy. Actually, it's the hardest thing, I think,
Yeah.
to do, and to stay motivated. That's the other part, is that if the founder, or like the igniter, is not motivated by the idea within the next 2-3 years of its building process, then how come the founder can expect for the employees to get motivated? Of course, the employees will find something else in the end of the day,
100%.
because of the lack of leadership and excitement coming from the
Yes.
founding members. And that's
Yes.
another thing that I noticed in crypto, for example. A lot of projects are failing, or rather, they're not even failing. They don't lift off. They just like fail to lift off,
Yeah.
uh, simply because founders and the team gives up too soon, and they forget, like, to invest, like, at least 3, 4, 5 years, even, you know, in consistent work. But the problem with a lot of people, they don't want to work, and including me, actually, I guess, I don't know, hopefully not. It's like hard for us to stay at one job for a very long time, unless it's super fulfilling and super dynamic. So I want to provide a workspace that is super dynamic and very agile, in terms of like what to do, when to do. You know, I really want to bring together the entrepreneurs, more than you know, like just people who just need a job.
Yeah.
And support and facilitate those entrepreneurs in their co-creation process. But look, again, I don't want to create something that already exists, and I'm really, that's why I have to go, you're right, to Porto, and to meet the community first, before even like completing this business plan. I guess like a business plan is more of like a universal, just a, like a, I guess it's going to be more of like a ticket entry point into hopefully staying there longer than 3 months, because I do need more than 3 months of like constant being, you know, around, and there, to be able to actually build something, and to listen first, to be able to listen and to tune in and understand what's actually needed and how to start. Even though, look, in 2021 I was there for 6 months, but because of the lockdown, I couldn't really meet the community. Like, I felt like there were no events happening, and people were just staying at homes, and it was just such a different energy, such a different like secluded type of experience. Even though, again, like there are no people on the streets, super empty, super surreal to see Lisbon like that. As you can imagine, it's just wow. You can't see Lisbon like that anymore. It's filled with people. Are you there? Eunice, I lost you. Can't hear you. Let me try. Oh, that's me.